Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome, welcome. Hello, everyone. This is Dregn Durant of the S800088, and well, today we're going to be talking about a few different things. Hey, all right, cool. Looks like some of the changes that I've made are so far working as intended. Hope you guys enjoyed that. What up, Kieran? Good to see you. 2023 is just getting started, so I hope it treats me well. Hope it's treating you well. We'll find out here real quick if yeah, what this year is going to look like, right? It's going to be interesting. I'm ready for it. I'm hyped for it. And man, some of you guys out there need to get some kind of a intro. It gets me hyped every time. But we got our new one that I had put out, I think, right as New Year's hit on the East Coast. So you guys got to see that for the first time used live. Let's go. Looks like chat's working. Looks like the chat on the home screen was working. Added a little bit to kind of showcase some of the, what, I guess, fan art of sorts, the gifts, all sorts of goodness. And we'll improve on that in the near future. But, you know, it's a start. There's some polish and some tweaks that still need to be made to get it all wrapped up. But yeah, this is what I've been doing over the weekend, among other things. But I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Very cool. I'm glad someone's enjoyed it. So, yeah, shoot. What are we doing today, huh? Well, we're going to be talking about a few things. And this is definitely going to be a bit more of a me talking stream. But yeah, thinking about what's coming up in 2023, what we're looking to do. I know I've done it a few times before, but I think there's a few directions that I think I'd like to go in. And yeah, we're going to talk about it. And I think these streams, I've talked about it before. And I know for a little while I was doing some daytime streams, the occasional gaming stream and whatnot during the day. And as much as I enjoyed them, there are more, I guess, conversational streams that I'd like to do. So we're going to talk about that and how that's going to affect kind of the channel, how we're going to try and capitalize on some of that because, again, I am pretty much a YouTube exclusive person from what I do out here, as much as also streaming on Twitch and then doing videos on YouTube would probably be the smarter advice I'd put out there. I just can't do Twitch. I just don't like it. So we're sticking to YouTube. We're gonna keep trying to capitalize on YouTube, and I have a few ideas that I'd like to explore. And yeah, yeah. If anyone's here live, obviously we welcome you. Feel free to lurk. Feel free to chime in if you hear something interesting. And well, if you're watching this after the fact, push the goddamn button and leave a comment on what you think and what we're looking at. And maybe if there's something that interests you, something that you've enjoyed from things that we've explored in the past, let me know. Let me know what you guys are thinking. 2023 is the year where, I don't know, let's have a conversation about it, right? So, yo, little man Surge, what's going on? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. If you're lurking, glad to have you. And yeah, we're going to be chit-chatting here for a little bit. So, yeah, a few changes to the channel. I made a few. I know that's one of the big things that I tend to do is make tweaks to the interface and how we present ourselves here. So if you got here at the beginning, or if you're watching this as a recap through the, I guess, I don't know if YouTube doesn't really call it a VOD, but you know, if you're watching the post live stream video upload, you'll get to see a little bit of what's changed as we jump in here. I wanted to capitalize a little bit on the Yasuhiro spaceship and a little bit of perspective, right, with how we're supposed to be in here. So, and also trying to minimize a little bit of what's going to be on screen and try to keep it a little less busy, a little bit more focused on, you know, the type of content that we're going to be looking towards. So yeah, I'm excited for it. I definitely have a few ideas, but I think there's a couple places to start from. So I guess let's start with what's going on with the channel, right? And yeah, Happy New Year's to everybody. I know we're a couple days past now, but hope you're all hope you all had your fun. And yeah, I know it's my vibe is I feel like a lot of people are optimistic for this year, and if not this year, at least leading into next year. So we'll see how the year plays out. I'm optimistic. I do feel like the weather this year is going to be a bit of a mess, but we'll see how it actually plays out, right? As much as everyone tries to predict what's going to happen, it hardly ever plays out just as predicted. So yeah, so what are we going to do? What are we doing here on the channel, right? Obviously, things have changed a little bit. You kind of see the setup that I have here. I can actually properly look over to the right and look at the chat. I do want to make it a little bit larger. It's a minimal thing. So that's going to be one of the tweaks that we make later on. But yeah, content-wise, let's talk about content. So I am on YouTube. We don't do Twitch, so it's not just going to be a bunch of live streaming on, well, I guess, how should I put this? For the past year, we've been doing pretty good with the kind of 2-3 hour average, right? With when we do live streams. I personally cannot do anything past 4 hours. I just get too tired emotionally, mentally, all that goodness. So I personally try to keep it to about 2 or 3 hours tops. And with these daytime streams, I think one of the issues I had when I had tried these in the past is that it typically would extend, again, another 2-3 hours. But that really just kind of creates the same problem of doing the evening streams, just a different time of the day. So I think what we're going to do with daytime streams moving forward, and to try to keep a regular schedule with them, right? We do want consistency. When I started this channel, we were pretty consistent with, gosh, I don't even remember if I did 4 days a week or 5 days a week when I first started, but we were doing it regular, right? Consistent. And Hunt Showdown was a game that I was playing very frequently. And when was it? It was sometime before November for sure, but there was like 3, maybe even 4 months where things kind of changed a little bit. Decided to kind of slow down. I caught myself, I guess, I don't want to call it working too hard, because it's not so much that I was working too hard. It was more that I was maybe putting too much emphasis on what I had learned through prior work experience of what is expected, and time investment and thought investment, and I guess how you're going to go about, I don't even know how to explain it, how you go about presenting yourself, right? Because I did come from a tech, sales, business kind of background, and I've talked about it on a couple of occasions, but that type of a grind after a decade is interesting, especially because I had always been more of the observative type, and I started noticing a few trends, and I was just like, this isn't going to end well. And obviously there was, well, not even obviously, but there were some, I guess, life changes that happened within that decade. And well, as much as I hate the term burnout, I think burnout did happen. So last thing I want to do with streaming is to burn myself out. And I've seen enough of others talking about it and experiencing it that I know that even in the streaming world and virtual entertainment and content videos and collaboration, just social battery, I mean, it's possible, right? So I slowed down. We slowed down actually a lot. And we kind of ended up going into a more of a planning, thinking, kind of behind the scenes mode, trying to collaborate with a few folks on something. If you've been following the channel, you may have heard about Project HiVECORE, which we may touch on a bit later. But the goal here, right, with streaming and taking a break from my past, I guess, corporate life of sorts, it was to slow down and figure out and try this out and explore it. And I guess one of the big incentives for me at least was, at heart, I guess I've come to accept my, I guess, absolute weebdom. So, and I definitely consumed a bit of content when it came to, VTubing and streamers. And VTubing in particular, I thought was super fascinating just from a technical perspective, but also the community around it and the common interests that many of us have. And it was something that I wanted to be a part of. So I decided, you know what? I'm not gonna go work for somebody. I'm gonna take a break, step back, and give this a try. Learn a little bit about it. Get my feet wet, get my hands dirty, and dive right into it, which is exactly what we did. So let me actually reset my camera because I seem to have a weird issue with my neck at the moment. It's seems to be a little crooked. Let's try this. All right, smile. All right, hopefully that comes across a little better. Yeah, better, much better. So yeah, channel changes, right? Obviously the perspective that we have here on the channel has shifted a little bit. We got I like to think, a much better quote unquote just chatting view that we can kind of be front and center. If we need to bring friends in, we have a way to do that, but we're going to save that for a future day. And well, if I wanted to drop down and share some things, which we will do maybe in the next 10 minutes or so, we have a way of doing that. And when we do collaborate and do any sort of gaming or sharing, I think I will continue to do a more of a full screen kind of view, right? We started doing that in the, I guess, second half of the year, and I thought it came across much better. And yeah, I think that's going to be the way to move forward, right? I've seen enough of the, I guess, bigger players out there, and much of what they do does seem to be focused around having the persona up front and center. So I definitely want to capitalize on that when we're having conversation. So that's one of the kind of, I guess, vibe changes that we're going to be seeing here. But also talking about changes to the direction, I think this channel here, Yasuhiro 88CH, Yasuhiro 0088 channel, right, is, I think, what I'm concluding to be more of my playground. It's my sandbox. It's my place to try things out as I learn about this environment and test different ideas, right? If you all recall, we had obviously done the typical streaming, video gaming type streams, but we've also tried to make a couple of variations of, I guess I don't want to keep repeating the word content, but we've tried making like a review video. We've tried doing a reaction video. We've done live reactions when it comes to, say, like Vector Spaceman. For those who follow the channel would recognize that name, and the animated specials that he's done with a bunch of other VTubers. We've also I blanked on something just now, but we've tried a variety of different formats and experimented with it, and I suppose to a degree dabbled with it, right, as we learn about, social media, because prior to streaming, I was, what's a strong word for this? I was strongly against it. So when it came to social media, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all of those social media portals, even Instagram, right? I stayed away from virtually all of them. I came from tech. I know what it's all about. It's not for me. I know what it does psychologically to a person too. And, through streaming and through YouTube and through looking at analytics and looking at Twitter analytics and looking up on metrics and all that stuff, I did find myself partway through, and this was before we had slowed down as well, that I was looking at it a bit too harshly, to ensure that our trajectory was looking positive, right? We had a massive influx. I think like 3 or 5 months in, which really threw me for a loop. Kind of threw off the balance of I guess a sense of personal growth, and I think at this point, and especially going into 2023, and from the time that we've kind of taken a break or slowed down during the holidays, especially, um, I don't know if I really care about the numbers anymore. I think I've resigned to the mentality of it. I don't really care. I mean, I do care, but eyeballing it, right, is not a thing that I don't think I'm really looking at it as much as I used to, and I'm okay with that. So, and what up, Hero King? Soul? What do you mean the numbers mean? What? That's a healthy mindset? Yeah. Yeah. No, overall, right, everyone always tells you not to stress over it or look at it. But I also came from tech. I also came from a world where it was all about metrics. Pretty much all my professional careers involved numbers. The numbers make sense. But yeah, so because, nah, dude, I never played Black Ops, but because we saw that huge influx, I really kind of lost the sense of, well, shit, where the hell am I? Like, what's real? What's not real? What's a bot? What's not a bot? So, so yeah, I think at this point, it matters less to me now. It still kind of stings a little bit when I see a big drop, which if it turns out maybe it's just a bunch of bots getting purged, then maybe it's okay. But at the same time, if it's not bots and it's like, well, shit, maybe I'm doing something wrong, right? It is still, I think, a valid means of I what's the word of what's the word? It's still a valid means of assessing your performance in a way, right? So having that type of feedback I always saw valuable, as long as you didn't fall into, I think, a toxic mentality with it, right? But it's definitely a fine line, and it's one that is easy to overstep without kind of realizing it. So yeah, so the Yasuhiro0088 channel, I'm going to be looking at it moving forward as, again, my sandbox. This is where we hang out. This is my spaceship. This is my vessel. This is where I am going to try things and continue to try things as we learn more about the channel, or not even the channel, but the platforms that we are on, and so on and so forth. You have to cut your yard, but I'll be right back. Thanks, Soul. Thanks, Soul. So yeah, channel is going to be changed, I think, with just my perspective in general, but also with, again, kind of the delivery of how we're presenting ourselves is going to be shifted a little bit. And then during the day, right, I think, not even I think, my plan at the moment is every day at the time that we started today, I plan to go live for 1 to 2 hours. So not 2 to 3 hours. It's going to be shorter span. And the goal here is actually going to be to do this about 2 to 3 times throughout the day. So we'll do maybe 2 hours on, 2 hours off, 2 hours on, so on and so forth. And then if we have, say, collaborations planned with buddies of the channel, friends that we've met along the way, we will continue our evening shows where we, have some fun with some friends out there, meet some people. If we ever have the opportunity to circle and orbit some others that we haven't maybe had a chance to play with or meet with or converse with or whatever it may be. Set, you're saying that's a bunch. It sounds like a bunch, right? But think of it this way. If I had streamed at the same time and gone, say, 3 to 4 hours, that is still more time spent than if I had done 3 1-hour sessions, right? If you think of it that way. Now, I obviously have the luxury of being unemployed at the moment because I had made some, I can't really rag on it because I do live in a place that is quite expensive, but I managed to save up enough to, I guess, take a break and step away. So yeah, I have the ability to do multiple daytime streams, right? So I think I think it's a good balance for me to say, hey, there's going to be a focused period of going live, and I can take a break, recharge my battery, maybe do some prep work for the next segment or however we plan it out. And oh yeah, well, anyways, let me finish my train of thought here. But yeah, we'll go live. We'll take a break, recharge. Maybe I can run some errands, do some plans, or get things updated for the next segment. And then again, depending on the day, right? The only one that's going to be guaranteed would be this time slot. And then as we go through the stream, I'll announce, maybe I'll be back in 2 hours, or we'll play it by ear essentially throughout the day is kind of the idea, based on things that we have to do, projects that we have, and so on and so forth. So that is what I am thinking. Now, whether I live up to that goal is going to be on me. And feel free to DM me and be like, dude, get your shit together. Come on, you said 9 a.m. Pacific. Like, come on now. For streaming, it's daunting to even press. If we're near each other, I don't even know. I love what in the world are you saying, bro? Context. Oh, live. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe we could talk about it offline, see what's up. But that is what I'm thinking for 2023, right? I think it's a bit. I don't really like resolutions. I think New Year's resolutions are kind of a way to set goals that you want to be serious about, but it's like you're waiting until the New Year's to pull it off, right? I like the idea of I've always liked the idea, and I think personally have always kept the idea of setting certain goals, right? Long term, medium term, short term, so on and so forth. So yeah, so that's where my thoughts are at the moment. And we're going to see if we can pull it off. We're going to try to pull it off. This is the year to do it. 2020, or not 2020, 2022 is the year that I got into all of this, essentially, and learned about it. And from what I have observed, right, because I have said in the past, and growing up, reflecting on it, and through hindsight being 2020, I was very observative. And then going into the workforce obviously changed a little bit, and I prefer being observative. So from what I have observed, it does appear that, that with exception, the majority of people who do make it from a content perspective, I think there's a few kind of key pillars of behavior that you have to keep in mind. And I think one of them is consistency, right? Which I started with consistency, and that was a good rhythm, right? But obviously there's a balance there that we have to figure out. So we're going to try to tap back into that and do some more regular times, regular streams, and well, at least the ones where it's on me, right? The evenings when we're collaborating, we're doing it with other people. They're expecting us. We're going to be there. We're going to continue that. And I like, mingling with people. And we've made good friends along the way. So that is the plan. But aside from consistency, I think from what I've observed from small businesses, family businesses, the businesses that I had been a part of, and just businesses that had struggled during, say, '08 and the pandemic and whatnot, there's also a couple other pillars that I think is relevant to streaming as well, to varying degrees, depending on the intent of the individual and the goals that they have for growth and so on and so forth. But that is going to be scalability, right? So the ability, say, for example, like if you want to stream 8 hours a day, how are you going to sustain that, right? And in my case, I'm thinking I'd much rather do, say, 4 1-hour streams than 1 6-hour stream, right? Not that I would ever do a 6-hour stream, I don't think. But so we're going to make plans on doing shorter format, still long format, because it's still like an hour stream at least, but we're going to break it up. Right. And I think that will be much more comfortable for me. That will be much more manageable from a from a, I guess, a VOD quote unquote perspective, it'll be much more consumable. And from an editing perspective, it'll be much more manageable. And with the breaks in between, right, depending on what our goals are for different projects that we'll talk about here in a little bit, I think that will overall be a net positive in the way that I envision it. So that is what we're going to try and do. And so, yeah, what did I say? I said consistency, scalability, and then I think the most important one, which a lot of people ignore or are ignorant about, in business at least, is sustainability, right? It's how are you going to sustain? I've seen businesses fail, and I've also seen different projects. Actually, we've all seen different projects on the internet fail in the past 2 years, right? It's not sustainable. And then there's also the problem of people just being complete asshats and greed and scamming and all that crap, which I really hope I don't fall into the trap of. I don't want to be that guy. And I think my intentions, I've voiced my intentions as honestly as I can, that I would like to see this VTubing community grow and prosper, right? I got into it because I think there's a lot of potential here. I think there is a future where, I mean, Vector Spaceman, for those, again, who follow the channel know him. I think the things that he has done with kind of the assisted animation and the skits are something that is going to kind of grow of sorts. Oh, don't even talk about NFTs, man. I don't believe. But I do think VTubing and kind of the world of VTubing circles, right? We see this a lot with when it comes to the popular one, right? HoloLive. They do a good job with creating kind of this universe. I think more VTubers need to do that. And I think one of the shortcomings with a lot of VTubing is a lot of people are selfish or young mentally. Their emotional responsibility maybe is a bit lacking, or it's just, they don't really know how to engage with a community of people, right? I think the VTubing circles that we see out there are cute and adorable, and there's a few groups out there that are trying to band together and create like an org, right, and make something happen to it. We're trying to do it with Project HiVECORE as well, to slow, in a very slow manner, of course, but I do think that is the future direction that people need to start considering, right? Communities online, right? And VTubing, in a sense, is in its own way, is a large community of it in of itself, where a lot of people with similar interests get together. It's easy to kind of meet and break the ice. A lot of them are fans of video games, which is a good, again, icebreaker and a way to pass the time and meet people and vibe with people. But I think there is also a lot of creative talents out there that struggle on their own island too much, and it is something that I don't know. I really want to bring them together, but the question is, one, again, how to sustain that, how to scale that, and then how to be consistent with it where there's value, right? Because one of the problems that I've run into in my outreach to others is that when you're starting from zero, you don't have value. And without value, most people that I've interacted with won't really give you a second thought, right? Especially the creatives out there, right? Artists, musicians, anyone under the umbrella of a quote unquote starving artist, right? It's difficult for them, and I can kind of understand it because, as a creative, a lot of them are working kind of project to project, commission to commission, paycheck to paycheck in a way, right? So I also understand that their time investment into a project needs to show a promise of return, or at least a high incentive, whether it be personal reasons or personal interests or whatever it may be. So I think one of the most successful examples of people who have made it work is actually the VTubing modeling agencies, right? So those groups out there of artists and riggers who have kind of banded together to offer a service to a lot of people looking to become a VTuber or looking to enter streaming, right? With like overlays and things like that. People out there have grouped up in, anywhere from 3 to 8 people, 3 to 12 people. And they've been, I think, in a way successful. But I've also seen, certain musicians and certain artists who, man, if they just found some people that they enjoyed working with and banded together, I feel like they can do some very creative and impressive things, right? So, yeah, I want to continue to try to explore that idea, try to find ways to get those people together, and or at least voice it out, and hopefully you guys will, somebody out there will hear it and reach out and help make it happen as we continue to try to make it happen ourselves. Power been going in and out, big storm going on. Yeah, that's only from what I've heard as far as storms go. It seems like we're going to be getting hit pretty hard. The West is going to be very cold and rainy this season, and the East Coast sounds like they're going to actually be getting quite warm quite quick. And then the middle of the states, at least, I don't know actually where you're from in particular, but it sounds like the middle of the country is going to be having some very interesting times. Yeah, it's already 66 Fahrenheit. Damn. Yeah, were you east? I don't recall. But yeah, if that's East Coast, yeah, 66 is high for this time of year. Normally it's what, like 40 some? I feel like 40 some is what I remember when I was in Boston in January. Maybe it was even 30 some several years back, but yeah, good luck out there, man. We got our yeah, it's going to be interesting. So, yeah, that's some thoughts of the channel and kind of my thoughts on what we're trying to grow and some of the direction we're going to go with the time that we're going to be investing in streams in particular. But in addition to the streams, right, we're going to be focusing, I think, this year on trying to understand content a little better, right? So when I got into streaming and VTubing back in, gosh, it was only November of 21 is I think when I went live, right? Yeah, November, what was it? November 20th, I want to say, of 21. And of 22, much of the beginning was networking and meeting people and collaborating, right? Trying to build my own little circle of trust of sorts and trying to build that network. And I think I've been pretty fortunate to meet a bunch of very cool spacefaring friends. The sci-fi space VTuber circle, I think, is going strong with some very interesting personalities and very strong creatives and all sorts of goodness. So, and obviously the extended circle around each of those individuals has been, I think, nothing but mature, good people, and I appreciate that. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. I'd say during maybe the middle time of 22 is when I started kind of teasing the idea of, what is streaming really? What is YouTube really? Like, what is content, right? And I think that was around the time when I had done my kind of review video of, gosh, what was that game? The Cycle Frontier, the one that I kind of want to go back and watch it because I'm pretty sure that game did in fact fail for all the reasons that I said it was going to. So it's, I told you so. But yeah, we did that review video. I think I did a Hunt Showdown reaction video to a really, really well made video someone had done. What was his name? Like Bulletproof something. I forget. I'd have to go back and check. But I think this year, right, with the shorter stream times during the day, and with those shorter stream times, I think we're going to focus on, we're going to actually have like a focus when we try to do these. So let's touch a little bit about what that's going to be. So before, I guess on the thumbnail, I had mentioned we're going to explore AI as a series, right? Now I'm going to actually save that one for the next talking point here. But the first one is talk show / podcast, right? Now, I'm low key a little envious of Spaceman's ability to make his own art assets and make his own studio, which for those tuning in, on Wednesday, we are going to be joining Spaceman on his channel for another little podcast talk show. So get ready for that. That should be a lot of fun. I'm excited for it, ready for it. But I have a different idea. And I think after slowing down, I had actually consumed a lot of content with intent coming from me. And I have a pretty good idea of how I'm going to style my talk show. Less of a talk show. Well, I guess it's more of a loose format, right? It's going to be kind of a, much like I'm doing right now, a bit more of an organized, we're going to have a few talking points perhaps. Maybe we'll see if some guests are available. I know during the day it might be a little tricky depending on who is available, but hey, have a great one set. Thanks for swinging by. And yeah, we're going to, with those shorter forms, right, we're going to be able to focus on, hey, in the next hour, we're going to talk about X, Y, and Z. And then we'll stop. We can plan. We can evaluate. We can move on to the next one, depending on what we have planned for, each day by day. So yeah, during these daytime streams, there's a very good chance that rather than trying to play games like I had done in the past, we're going to do more conversational stuff, more planning stuff, more like behind the scenes. And speaking of behind the scenes, right? Maybe do a bit more when it comes to the prep work and planning that we see for our Sunday Horizon Exploration campaign, which is a little sci-fi D&D homebrew that we run on the channel, which is if all players are available, we are planning to kick that back up on Sunday at our usual time. So update for that will be coming up depending on once I hear back from everybody. Still waiting on a couple folks to hear back from after the new year. And yeah, talk a little bit about maybe ideas for the campaign, maybe some NPC creation, which we'll get into the AI series that I'll talk about in a bit. And then also maybe a little bit of behind the scenes on, I think, I have a couple ideas here. One is going to be maybe touching a bit on myself and where I had come from and what led me to where I am now, which would be, I think, more for myself and for anyone who'd be curious to listen to. So that would be a series idea. And then the other is going to touch maybe a bit more around kind of the Project HiVECORE initiatives, because one of the elements of, I think, business that I really dislike or I find distasteful is there's a certain degree of lack of transparency, right? And I know transparency can be a double-edged sword, which is why a lot of organizations would much rather avoid transparency where possible, just because with the age of the internet and live updates and instant reactions and whatnot, it's very easy for things to get out of control. But I also think there's just far too much smoke and mirrors, right? So with the business sales background that I do have, I know more about advertising marketing than I ever wanted to know. And the unfortunate truth is there's a lot of smoke. There's a lot of smoke. And if you're a gamer, you're used to it. Unfortunately, anytime you've been disappointed by a AAA studio, you can blame advertising and marketing and business for that. I don't know why people continue to be the rat in the maze looking for the cheese, but yeah, I don't want to follow in those footsteps. So we are going to, I would like to, because Project HiVECORE is I still to this day, as much as the road to launch it has not been as easy or as what's the word? Finding support for it has been a bit more difficult than I had anticipated, which is expected. I suppose I expected that to a certain degree. But I also find that it is it's kind of like you're at a crossroads, and on one side is the known path, right? Within the distance, you see all the pretty trees and the green grass and the butterflies floating by. And then the other path, obviously, is the dark path into the forest that doesn't look well traveled. You're not really sure what's in there, but at or at least you believe at the end of it is a better environment, right? So as much as that excites me, it's also terrifying, right? And going into the unknown when you don't know, uh, it's not a path that you've even traveled, right? It is difficult. So yeah, we're kind of we're trying to figure it out as we go, and it really bums me out because I've watched a lot of content from successful individuals that talk about the things that you need to think about and the things you need to do. And I don't know, maybe is it my hubris? I don't even know. But I watch those and I'm like, man, you're telling me shit I already know. What I need to know is like, what are the actionable steps that can be taken to get to the concepts that you're talking about? So, yeah. It's funny because I watched this one guy who is currently a very successfully known businessman, but he one of his advertising pitches of where he came from is like, hey, I came from like nothing and built this multi-million business. But what people seem to ignore is that, hey, this guy has a history of trying to create and failing at creating businesses, right? Whereas I am starting at go when it comes to that mentality. So it's interesting. It's challenging. It's a new avenue, and there's not a whole lot of, I don't know. There's a lot of concepts online, but there's not a whole lot of, again, mentoring, I suppose, or guidance when it comes to the step by step. Without, I suppose, paying a significant portion, and I am far too frugal to bite that bullet in certain things. So yeah, we're kind of playing with the water, and maybe there's sharks, but we don't see them yet. So it's an experiment. And I think ultimately that's kind of what things have been boiling down to on this channel, is that I am still in the process of experimenting, right? Which I think leads to another point I had overlooked earlier, which is that a lot of successful streamers and content creators do in fact have, and I've voiced this before, but they do have a lot of years under their belt, right? A lot of the big players spent, a good 1 to 3 years before they found what they were good at and reached a point of what's the word, critical mass, right? Where then people explode, which tends to be, I think, the vast majority of stories that I've seen out there, which is that there's a long period of just slow treading the waters of this virtual space, and at some point there is an explosion that happens, right? So I think YouTube is the right platform to make that happen. I think the investment that you would have to make on Twitch alone to make it happen on Twitch is difficult, especially if you're not looking at outside sources, right? Which is why I've recommended in the past that, hey, if you're on Twitch, you almost have to also either post videos, or I guess shorts, or content on YouTube or Reddit or TikTok, right? And as much as I despise TikTok, it works for some people from a discoverability point of view. But yeah, anyways, I think I will continue with YouTube and stick with YouTube despite some of the challenges that YouTube has, right? And speaking of YouTube, I do also, as part of these kind of shorter form live moments, would like to explore these shorts that they have, because I know in 2023 YouTube has said that they are going to be monetizing shorts, right? Obviously they're competing with TikTok. So yeah, I think we will try to capitalize on that in certain cases. So it's something that I'm going to explore, and obviously there's also me kind of discovering what the hell I'm good at. Because, as far as gaming goes, I think the successful gamers are either going to be people watching someone playing the game who's just entertaining and funny, right? So you got comedians. You also have people who are just badass, right? You got your pros out there. I don't necessarily know if I fit in those categories. So I feel like this is me kind of looking at myself from a third person, but I feel like I'm better at exploring ideas, or find, or at least exploring different takes, or at least observing takes and coming to a conclusion. I feel like that is where my preferences lie, and that's where I might have a bit more interest. I don't know. You guys leave a comment if you're watching this after the fact. Let me know if you had been watching my channel. What the hell are you doing here? What are you saying here, Kieran? Almost near impossible to get discovered on Twitch. Came out and said that if you average 50 or more viewers, then you're in the top. Yeah, oh yeah, 100%. Actually, here's a funny little backstory, not even backstory, a behind the scenes. So with Project HiVECORE, there are a couple of folks that I try to keep in close contact with to try to build it out. And again, I know they are also focusing on their channels and their growth and discovering, what to do in this virtual space with like everyone else. So I get it. I get, the focus that people have, right? It's understandable. But as part of a conversation I had with them, I had actually prepared it was like a 30 or was it a 40 some slide presentation. I was like, oh my god, this is retarded. Why did I do that? But one of the couple of the slides was actually talking about YouTube demographics and Twitch demographics. And oh man, where did I put it? Let me see if I can find it real quick on my phone here, because one of the slides was talking about just the sheer size of the environments that are out there. Actually, you know what? I think I know where it is. Give me a second here. Let me see if I can pull it up. I wasn't planning on pulling this up, but was it this one? How many pages is that? No, that's my debut deck. 211108. No, that's not it either. Anyways, the point is on Twitch, if I recall correctly, Twitch has, if the average viewership on Twitch, I think was something like 20 or 28 viewers. So that means that if you're on Twitch and you are getting anywhere near 20 or so viewers on your channel when you're live, you are likely already in the top percentile, right? Which is absurd. And then you look at the number of channels that actually exist. And I know where I can pull this up real quick. Let me see here. Where is it? Here it is. Yeah, I think so YouTube has a total of 55, almost 56 million creators, which is insane. Twitch has over 7 million streamers. And if I recall correctly, something like 50% of all YouTube traffic is now coming from mobile, right? Which is, again, if you're on YouTube, time to start looking at those shorts, because YouTube Mobile, the mobile app, as far as I'm aware, is now prioritizing shorts when you open it up. So shorts, as much as I hate that format, does seem to be the way to grow and something that people need to capitalize on. And I know I talk about it more than I follow in my own advice, but yeah, shorts definitely has something to it. And then also on Twitch, gosh, what was it? Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm gonna have to find it. But yeah, I like Twitch because it's easier to navigate. So I will give Twitch credit, because if you do find a community through Twitch, the interaction that chat has with the creator, and I think this is a bit more of a VTuber exclusive interaction, right? Because the IRL streamers, they might have emotes, but they don't really have a whole lot of other interaction, like the whole throwing module that everyone likes to use. It's called, like tits or something. Someone was telling me. I think it was Neff that was telling me it. But I feel like those are pretty VTuber exclusive. So, and if you consider how VTubing is really a niche within a niche, then discoverability on Twitch is just absolute horseshit. But it is easier to navigate to a degree. I don't know. I feel like if you're a regular YouTube user, you know how to navigate pretty easily on YouTube. If you're a regular Twitch user, you probably know how to navigate pretty easily on that platform, right? So yeah, to each their own, as far as that's concerned, in my opinion. But what else was I getting at here? So yeah, I lost my train of thought. I got distracted, as I do. But yeah, talk shows, podcast, more talking. I'm gonna have a new kind of interface specifically for when we try to get maybe like an interview format. There are also art related projects that I'm looking to try to rope people into. So technically, I have several template applications for an art based project. I have one for a music based project. I have one for the HiVECORE Discord server application. There's a few of them, but it also needs to be fleshed out a little bit, or at least I need to get the signature of approval from a couple others who I, value their feedback. So once that's ready, I would very much like to have this done, or at least start advertising it in the next month and a half at the absolute latest. I really wanted to have it done by this month, but holidays really slowed things down, so wasn't quite ready. But I feel that if you want to get discovered, you have to do a lot of TikToks and shorts, and I ain't got time for that. I get it, I feel it, but I think also I've seen enough people on YouTube talking about it. Like, I watch enough to try to learn from the people who have done it. And I do find that there is definitely a way to do it smarter and not harder, right? Or not without losing your mind. The trick is, it's difficult to figure out that smart way to do it when you don't really know how to do it yet, right? So part of it is you have to try it and try variations of it. And once you find out what the working formula is firsthand, then it gets easier and easier the more you do. And what up, Kilvin? Haven't seen you in a little while. Hope you've been doing well. Happy New Year to you. I know we talk rarely nowadays. Hope you've been well. And so yeah, much like, say, if you watch a video on how to repair a car, it might look easy and it might sound easy, but until you do it, you don't really know, right? So as far as aspiring, streamers and VTubers go, it's like, you got to do it, obviously, is step one, but you also have to keep doing it, because if you're not serious about it, those are the people who are going to quit, right? Been busy. Sorry I haven't stopped by. Dude, it's fine. I haven't actually been on our personal Discord in a good while. I poke my head in like once a month. I've been really bad with it too. So I've been doing too much thinking as far as, the channel and how I want to do this, because I do strongly believe that I don't want to go work for somebody again. As much as that life is easier to traverse, and from the experience I have, I could live pretty comfortably at the expense of my mental and physical and just sanity. I do feel like if I spent another 10 years working for somebody, in the span of 10 years, I could create something much larger and much better, and that leads to much more happiness, not just for myself, but ideally for some others that I care for as well. So yeah, I think in 2023, right, I've said that I'm going to continue. I initially was only going to stream for a year and see how it kind of was, or how it works, and see if it's really worth pursuing. And as much as I haven't quite, quote unquote, figured it out yet, or at least I wouldn't claim to have figured it out yet, I do find that what could be accomplished in a year is highly underestimated by a lot of people. So getting close to being done, though, that's awesome, dude. You talking about the house stuff? Because I know you're grinding away. You know what it is now that you got a girl, you're getting serious about getting it done. Getting that feeling, not happy at my current. Yeah, and that's the other problem too, is that the state of the world right now, from what I've seen, I think a lot of people are in that situation. And I think the pandemic, as much as contrary to the people who told everyone to, stay inside and whatnot, I think it had a bit of a double-edged sword effect, and people have realized, like, hey, it's like, why am I doing this? Right. So, yeah, oh, 2023 bingo card. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, bro. Well, you know what's funny? Here's a life lesson for you youngins out there. Youngins, I can't believe I just said that. But so I had never heard this before until I met this one girl, roughly around the same time I think that you met yours, recent one. But apparently there is something called what is it? Cuddle season, snuggle season, something like that. I forget. It's been a couple years, but apparently there's a bunch of people who hook up right when winter is about to start. So like, around holiday time, around I guess what? August to February. People like hook up, and then January, February it ends. Apparently that's just a trend that I don't fully understand. I don't know if it's because it's cold outside and people are just want to, cozy up, or if it's something to do with the holiday time and they want to be able to tell their family that, oh yeah, I'm with somebody, yeah. Or it's people who want to, go into the new year and get some Valentines. I don't really understand it, but yeah, people want those gifts. Ah, damn. Is that what it is? Damn. They want those gifts. I don't think it was that. She was very nice, but we just didn't fit. Yeah, no, that shit happens too. Yeah. It's unfortunate because, man, you and I have very, I don't know. I don't know how we became friends, but it worked out. But yeah, I had a very similar experience. There's a really nice girl, really comfortable person. Enjoyed hanging with them. It just didn't work out in the end, and that's fine. Whatever. Yeah, yeah. So it happens, dude. It happens. But hey, it sounded like you had some fun for a little while there, so that's good. That is good. But yeah. So, anyways, talk show, right? Channel updates. Talked about it. We're gonna be again trying to flesh it all out this month. Do a little bit more of it. Hey, Mugen, haven't seen you in a while, man. We rarely get to see one another because we live in opposite sides of the world, but good to see you. Hope you've been well. Happy New Year to you. And yeah, time zones suck. I know, right? But hey, Mugendai here, everybody. Go search his name on the Twitter and the Twitch. We are technically, I guess, VTuber siblings, right? So yeah, Mugen's a very chill, I guess. What would you call it? Sleepy vibes. But yeah, Mugen's a lot of fun. Mostly German though. Are you still doing your streams in German, or have you? I know you talked about it a while back. Last time I saw you or heard from you, or no, last time I dropped in your stream, I think you had talked about maybe trying to do like English streams, just because it'd be more accessible to the global audience. But I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you've been sticking to the German. Won't mind speaking English speaking people. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I much respect to anyone that's bilingual or more. And a lot of Europeans that I've met are trilingual, quadlingual, whatever the heck the words are, right? Because you guys are all so close and travel, across borders very easily. Pretty difficult to switch when you already have some core members. Oh, yeah, that is true, right? Sometimes you just got to cater to the audience. But I don't know. It might be fun to see you sometime and hop in and you're just swapping every sentence, English, German, English, German. Man, if I had more confidence in my Japanese, I'd be switching to it more frequently, but I am so rusty. I've talked about wanting to speak Japanese again, but I'm so rusty. I'm so rusty. Even when I went to Japan, it was so bad. My friends still made me do all the speaking, but still, it's like, gosh, my vocabulary is like a second grader too. It's just bad. It's just bad. 日本語喋れない. Yeah. Anyways, I'm not gonna go into it too hard, but yeah. But hope you do. Yeah. Hope you're doing well. Glad to see you. I see the smiley faces. I take that as a win. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. So I think the next subject here, right? Again, we're going to be doing this for less than 2 hours. So I've already spent an hour chit chatting. So let's move on. and talk about the next couple bits. So I said I was going to save the AI talk for this for now, but I think I've already kind of touched on collaborations a little bit here and there. So, right, obviously, I'm pretty openly inviting anybody who wants to do collaborations. That doesn't change. People say that on Twitter, but if you make an effort to reach out or even just comment on Twitter or whatever, and I notice it, I'll reach out. Right, it's easy for me to do. So, yeah, if you're shy, just if I see your name popping up regularly, I'll say hello. It's an easy thing to do. So collaborations obviously are continuing. We hang out with the Space Gang quite a lot, but I do entertain the idea of pulling in people, a new person here and there, or at least I would like to. My social energy is a bit limited, and my capacity to remember people is pretty limited now that I've already met dozens of people. It's difficult, man. I don't know how some people know, like who have circles of like 100 people. I'm like, how do you even survive in that chaos? But yeah, collaborations are fun. You never know who you're going to meet, right? So if you are a gamer who likes a particular game, especially when it comes to like extract shooters, I love that stuff. So we obviously want to meet more of those people. And then any artists and musicians, or if anyone knows an artist or musician who's looking to do kind of collaborative art projects or music projects, I'm not going to claim to be either of those, but I do want to organize some groups to get together and make some cool projects together, right? Which again, I talked about it towards the beginning or partway through. I think there's a lot of artists and creatives out there who are highly, highly talented, who are just head down in their own island. And if they use the time that they would be doing their craft with others, they can create some really cool stuff, right? So I need a break from 15+ hour work days. Ooh, that is rough, bro. You're going to have to tell me about that offline sometime. 15+ hours. What do you do? How do you live? But yeah, collaborations, right? Open invite. Especially if you want to help with like helping me to find people, right? I'm one of the challenges that I see with the VTubing community as a whole, right, is that there are some, well, let's be honest, some socially awkward people out there. There's also a lot of quite young minds out there as well. So anyone out there who has met maybe someone who's mature or someone who's creative, who would maybe even just say like, hey, these two would do some cool shit together, but they don't know each other yet, let me know. I will make it happen, or at least that's my goal. That's my goal for this year, is to make that shit happen. So yeah. Fortunately, right, with like Project HiVECORE, as much as it's a loose kind of org group, circle, whatever we want to call it, really, I do hope to talk about HiVECORE in a more formal capacity here at some point. It still is, again, been a bit of a struggle to kind of define and grow, because there's a couple people who do seem invested in it, but it's still a challenge, right? I also, speaking of HiVECORE, am planning within this month, so in January, by the end of January, I do hope to include more people in Project HiVECORE. So I know it's kind of been a closed circle right now with the space peeps, but I will be pushing for HiVECORE to be more open to mature friends of friends, creative folks, moderators, right? So the expanding the kind of reach that we have, because the HiVECORE server, Discord server at the moment, does have a community section. So a lot of the prep work has already been done. There's a bit of polish that needs to be done for the new year, with some kind of new ideas for how we're going to grow it. But yeah, I am looking to open that up by the end of this month, and the plans that I had originally had to kind of ask for like a membership fee, like an association fee almost, to try to, a little, you put in $3, and with that $3, with everyone contributing, we can try to do some really cool projects, or maybe even support people like Vector Spaceman to continue making, specials and animations that he does, right? But yeah, with Project HiVECORE being as big of a baby youngin as it is, or a little chick of a org as it is, it really just didn't make sense to ask for people to contribute in that manner. So I think the right way to do it moving forward would be to grow the community, and I will just have to continue eating what goes into it. Which is fine. I mean, if I want to do it, I need to have some skin in the game too. I already do, but I don't mind it. If it works out, it would be worth it in the long run for the whole. So yeah, we're gonna try to open it up. Kieran, I know I think you were the one asking about it, right? So yeah, people like you that we do collaborations with would be invited, especially people that we do like regular events with. So, any sort of like regular collaborations. It is meant to be a creators Discord though. So obviously, if people have fans of their channels, so like some of the larger people who are in the group, officially, unofficially, right? Like Pomato Master is another one that's, popping off right now. She has, I'm sure, her own Discord and her own community, but HiVECORE is meant to be kind of a behind the scenes with the creators and people contributing to projects and artists and musicians. And at least that's the vision that I have for it. So we want to be able to create an environment where the people who are involved can talk comfortably and plan projects together and find common interests. And I think that is the group of people that I want to focus on, right? So I will extend the community portion to it, and talk to the others about extending that to friends of the channels, right, across the channels, and then also like people like moderators or regular contributors to just, collaborative streams and whatnot. So that is the plan with HiVECORE. But AI. All right, let's talk about AI. AI is the last main point I wanted to make this morning. So artificial intelligence. This is a fun topic for me because, as I have voiced, I did come from cybersecurity, business sales, which encompasses marketing and advertising to a degree, and with cybersecurity, obviously, and tech in general. AI is nothing new to me, right? AI is something that has been in business for, I think, 4 to 6 years now. Yeah, I want to say it's been here for several years now. Now, it has become a big controversial talking point recently, I think, for two reasons. One, artists and musicians, like the creatives, are being affected by it directly, or at least there's, with the lack of regulations, there's some serious concerns about it, right? And where some of the AI is sourcing their material for their algorithms, right? So there's some ethical and regulatory and, I guess, logistical issues that the creative side is now like, oh, wait, this is a thing. Whereas in the tech sector, AI has existed for a good while. Like, AI helps with programming, AI helps with advertising, AI helps with marketing. Like, AI has already been in business for years now, right? But obviously now it's a big stink on the internet because a new population is being affected by it. And because AI is a technical, I guess, topic, the tech sector didn't really care about it. They're just like, oh shit, this is cool. This is a neat little new thing, right? But when it comes to artists and creatives, obviously it hits a little different. So we're going to explore it. We're going to jump into it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to bring awareness to it. If there's a lack of ethics, well, we're going to skirt that fine line in our own way, because I think when it comes to ethic, the intention is more important than the product, right? With the lack of regulation, I think the best way to push for regulation is to bring awareness to it. But I also believe that certain folks are worrying about AI in the same manner that maybe once upon a time the workforce, when it comes to, say, like an assembly line, used to worry about automation in the form of animatronics, not animatronics. Is it? Automation, like machinery, basically, right? Like assembling a vehicle, for example, right? Like Teslas, right, are vastly produced by machines with a few human operators, for example, whereas once upon a time, back when, the T model came out, it was all people, right? For those that even know what a T model is. So I think the creatives are now going through that kind of similar battle when it comes to AI, because although people don't see the technical advancements of AI in the business and tech world, people do feel and see it directly with the art and music world, right? And I've already reached out to, I'd say, a dozen people as a mixture of artists and musicians, asking them about AI, trying to see what kind of projects they'd be interested in. I've actually gotten mixed results. I would say it's actually scarily like 50-50, where there's a group of artists who are highly against it. I didn't really pressure them to give me a hard reason why, because it is touchy if they are against it. But there have also been the other half that has been playing with it, trying it out, using it for inspiration. And I do think there is a conversation to be had when it comes to AI and what is considered theft versus unique creativity, right? So actually, you know what? With that, I'm gonna drop down. Let's see if my new hotkeys here work, and with my new setup. Beautiful. All right. And let's also swap over to my browser. Beautiful. All right, things are working. Let's go. I have been using AI Gen Art for inspiration. Yeah. So obviously there is an issue with people who use AI and they just use the final product of AI output and monetize it without like doing any form of touch-ups, right? Like, man, it's rough because on YouTube, there's already a bunch of videos that are clearly written or driven by AI, right? And I would again argue that you're only seeing it now because people are talking about it now. This has already existed, I would argue, for the last 2 years at least, right? So with that said, what you guys are looking at on the screen at the moment is something, and actually, let me try this. No, we're gonna leave the chat up. Yeah. Oh, don't worry, Kieran. I'm gonna talk about that too, because see, my path in life had led to a very business technical route, not a creative art route. And honestly, this venture into streaming is probably the most creative thing I've done in my last 15 to 20 years. I'm all numbers. Man, if you are an accountant, you better let me know. But that aside, right? Yeah, I also really don't have any sort of creative bone in me. Like if it came to pen to paper or like the ability to create say like a beat, right? I'm not specialized. I don't have my brain has not evolved to think about that shit in the past couple of decades, right? So in a very similar sense, and also because I came from the business tech sector, the topic of AI just fascinates me, period. So you do have accounting in your work titles. Well, if you believe in your skills, I don't know. You do freelancing? I don't know. So here's a funny little side distraction here. I really want to find through VTubing an accountant who specializes in in independent content creator and what their account books look like. I also want to find a lawyer who is a VTuber. Obviously, finding artists and musicians has actually been trickier. Artists are easier to find. Musicians have been really tricky to find. Like VTuber musicians have been really tricky to find. But trying to find the business people who are VTubing, God, that is impossible to find because nobody out there is advertising, hey, I am the accountant VTuber. Right? No one's out there being like, hey, I'm Curran, the accountant frog, right? You probably don't have time on top of it, right? Because if you're working in those fields, like this is a nice to have. This is a moment of peace. Yeah. So, dude, I get it, man. A good buddy of mine actually works ridiculous hours. Like he's on call in the evening half the time, and it's like, dude, how do you not just end yourself living like that? Ooh. But anyways, Kieran, here's an idea. If you are good at what you do, or at least if you find that you would be good at what you do, or you could be good at what you do, why don't you start like why don't we talk about it? Because I'm sure there's plenty of VTubers who would be interested in those types of services. But yeah. Hey, actually, you know what? Speaking of which, if anyone actually has survived the past, how long have I been on here for? An hour and 20 minutes? Yeah, if you're watching this and if you're a VTuber or a streamer and you are an accountant or a lawyer or anything in the business world that would be suitable for starting a business and you're looking for opportunities, send me an email. You can find it in my About page on my YouTube. Because God damn it, with Project HiVECORE, I have dreams, and those dreams require people who believe, and I believe in you. So let's go. Oh man, you know what? Is that why you hang out in here? You're like, yeah, this guy sounds like he's been through business. He sounds like he's been through the ringer. Oh man, I could relate to his fucking sadness in his voice. Damn. Anyways. All right. So let's talk about AI before I get too off track here. So with AI, right, coming from business and tech, it's nothing new, especially coming from security, right? When I left that world, there was a new wave of technology coming into the industry, which was AI generated, or AI powered, I should say, analytics, AI powered cyber attacking, simulations, AI powered marketing tools. It is disgusting out there. Can't wait for a new hire to get trained up, so I'll go back to sell. I feel that one. I feel that one. Ooh boy. Anyways, but also I forget. So what we see on screen here is which one am I on here? I'm on AI Dungeon. So AI Dungeon, I would say, is probably my introduction years ago to AI. Gosh, what is it even called? It's an AI driven adventure. It's an AI. It's basically an AI text engine, right? Text generator. And AI Dungeon in particular was huge for a very short span of time because they decided to start putting, bumper rails, which completely just messed up the AI's ability to evolve and learn. Because, that's actually a problem I have with AI, is the fact that there are people trying to put guardrails, which severely handicaps the AI, right? And I'll talk about ChatGPT in a little bit, because ChatGPT is what has put AI text-based generation in a whole new public light, right? Everyone's talking about it right now, and I got words to say about it too. But yeah, AI Dungeon was a lot of fun when I first started, because you would jump into AI Dungeon, you would pick a scenario, or you'd create your own. You could even create like kind of little backstory lore entries or library entries or whatever it was called. And the AI would kind of feed from that based off of, different keywords that you would set. And it was actually, I had a couple of months where it was just in its prime. And it would give me just the most incredible adventures and actually be fairly believable and fairly consistent with following a forward direction. Now, the problem with AI Dungeon is that they ran into some controversy where they weren't necessarily forthright or I guess transparent with the fact that they had access to your stories. So they could read all sorts of what people were doing with it. And allegedly people people described that I don't remember who actually announced it or shared it, or if it was just like 4chan going crazy about it or whatever the deal. But I think people were talking about there was some, child related crap that people were dealing with, which is obviously a big gray area with AI stuff. There was also some very like crime related shit that people were uncomfortable with. So it's a question of like, should they have been looking at what the AI was putting out and what people were putting in? I guess they're still trying to learn and develop the engine. So it's like, I guess you should have expected that. But at the same time, yeah, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because they didn't really say that they had access to read your stuff. But once that had come out and there were concerns about like the type of responses people would put in and the type of feedback the AI would generate, the people behind AI Dungeon had decided to add some like keywords that were like no-fly zones. So it's like, hey, anything relating to CP. So if anyone knows what CP stands for, don't put it in the chat. I will ban you. But really just anything that is a clear red flag legally, right? That it's like a no-fly zone. So they started to add keywords for like, in particular, I think I remember like, and not safe for work stuff. I think there was like some hardcore violent related crap that they had started blacklisting in the AI generation. But those guardrails, what started to happen is that the AI would start getting confused and start like looping itself, right? And this is the problem that I've noticed with a lot of AI text generators, is that if the AI is directed behind the scenes too much, it starts to get into this kind of cyclical motion or cyclical thinking where it just starts looping, right? Or the responses seem to be like funneled to a common output, right? Which it's like, hey, let's use like political correctness as an example, right? For example, like let's say racial hate crimes are blacklisted in the AI behind the scenes, right? It's like any sort of violence towards any sort of serious violence towards different ethnicities, explicitly named ethnicities, were blacklisted, right? And what would happen is that you'd start getting into like conversations with the AI that's like, hey, actually, I don't even have a good example, so why am I doing this? But anyways, the responses did start to feel like it would start to be like a reverse pyramid, right? Like whatever you dropped in at the top could have started in a lot of different varied directions, but the closer it got and the further along it got, it's like, hey, these responses are starting to get more and more similar or more consistent with one another across different stories, right? So it became very limited, and the generation felt very limited, and it just stopped becoming interesting, right? It stopped being creative and going in kind of wild directions, because now it's like, well, my prime directive says that I can't go in that direction, so I'm going to start going in this direction, and all those directions lead to the same result, right? Anyways, long story short, there was some restrictions placed behind the scenes and also some controversies. So AI Dungeon, unfortunately, kind of died off as far as I'm aware, right? So then my second introduction to AI generative creative tools was Novel AI. So, excuse me. So Novel AI is interesting because Novel AI got its reputation after the fall of, or I guess due to the fall of Dungeon AI. And a lot of people were disappointed with Dungeon AI. Dungeon AI was like one of the first out there that was kind of available for consumers. And Novel AI looked, I think, or at least got a reputation to start filling that gap, right? Being like, hey, there's clearly a group of people who want to create stories using this AI technology. So Novel AI came in and they decided to go with more of a writer's tool type of a format, where it's rather than an RPG kind of dungeon exploration type logic or type brain of the AI. Novel AI was more like, let's write a book together, let's write a novel together, right? So a lot of the sources that Novel AI learned from were different, like popular authors, for example. Now, in time, last I checked, they did introduce kind of a Dungeon AI-esque kind of story adventure, right? But it also didn't quite seem to be as intelligent in the sense of creativity. And my experimenting with Novel AI also started to lead to some of that kind of repeating response, right? Because I think what a lot of laymen don't understand about these AI generators is that it's all about the input and memory and keywords, right, that the AI is learning from. And with a given story, depending on, I think, like the premise that you define at the beginning, which could be remembered as like an author's note, or say like the back cover of a novel, right? Or the inside sleeve of a novel. You might have like a summary of what the story is about. What kind of a story is it? What kind of adventure is it going to be? Like that initial kind of bio of sorts really kind of sets the tone for what you can expect from the rest of the output that comes to it, right? Which then leads us to ChatGPT, right? Which ChatGPT is interesting because ChatGPT is, as far as I'm aware, the first freely available AI chat generator. So the previous ones all had kind of pricing models. Like you could, I don't remember if they had free trials or not, but they always had a payment plan because using the AI engines behind the scene apparently had some pricing model that they had to adhere to make the call and integrate with it. But my understanding is that ChatGPT is the front face for OpenAI, and they are their own kind of research org or something like that. Anyways, I don't really care too much about behind the scenes because unless you're in that field, which I'm not trying to be anymore, it is the tool is what interests me the most. So ChatGPT is interesting, again, because of the open availability to it. But also, what's interesting is from my experimenting, ChatGPT is really not any more advanced than any other AI generating text tool that I've played with. The only difference is the style of the output, right? So like I was saying earlier, AI Dungeon style of input output is for the sake of like an adventure, right? For like a dungeon delve or like a D&D, Dungeons and Dragons style of story. Novel AI, the input output kind of brain behind the engine, right, was for the sake of writing a story or a novel, or I guess, again, in time, I believe it has like an adventure-based story that you can do with it now. ChatGPT, on the other hand, is a bit more, I suppose, what's the word? Not consumer, but it's more appropriate for, I think, general consumption, if that makes any sense. So ChatGPT is able to input output it's kind of, I kind of look at ChatGPT as the next version of Google, right? Because you can come into ChatGPT and essentially do like a Google search and it will give you a summary of what you are looking for, right? So if I Google search and say, or if I just go to any search engine and be like, hey, I need to learn how to make a, gosh, what would be a good example? Like a checklist for a checklist before riding a bicycle, right? Like if I want to be punctual with, is punctual the right word? If I want to be on top of safety and making sure that my bicycle is operating in peak efficiency, I can come in here and say, what are 10 things to check before riding a bicycle, right? If I type something like that, ChatGPT is going to go out and question is, where is it sourcing all of this stuff from? I don't know if it must not be using Google, right? Because Google has its own search engine. But as you see, ChatGPT is essentially outputting the summary of what I would expect when I do like a Google search and do the research on my own, right? So ChatGPT is interesting because it has, I think, some practical use, but from my experience, it falls prey to the same issues I see with all AI generating chat tools, which is that now that I've defined what are 10 things to check before riding a bicycle, right? You can see on the left here, there is a title, 10 things to check before riding a bicycle. What I think most people who are using this tool don't realize is that this line here, I guarantee you, is defining how the chat engine, how the AI engine is, what it's expecting to output, right? This title here, however it defined this title here, which is usually defined in relation to the first input that the user puts in, very likely this is going to define the rest of the conversation, right? Now, you might be able to try to explicitly tell it to go elsewhere, but if I instead say, gosh, how could I make it? This is a terrible example, and what up, Soul? Welcome back. Let's see here. What would be a good way of testing this out on the fly? So if I were like, what are 10 things to check before riding a bicycle? Oh, here we go. Like, what are 10 bicycle safety tips, right? Different question, but I guarantee half of these are going to be the same. All right, always wear a helmet. So initially, it looks like making the bike the right size is already been skipped. Helmet, okay, so we got helmet in here. Hand signal, predictable wearing, bright clothing, pedals, handlebar. Okay, so it looks like maybe I've managed to change it a little bit. Yeah, because safety tips are a bit more general. So, all right, yeah, this was the bicycle was maybe a poor example, but I will be continuing to try it out. And I have noticed in my personal account, there are some topics that will start to loop itself. Also, December 15th, maybe, was it before December 15th that I tried it? No, this is the free preview, right? Because December 15th, I believe, is when ChatGPT started blowing up. So again, I'm not reading it all, but I bet you we will see more of this, right? So we'll be exploring some of these chat generators. And I think one of the things I would like to do as part of these chat generators and AI in general is part of exploring AI in the series that we're going to do. We are going to look at maybe creating a few, say, D&D kind of characters and backstory. Or we might look at, I don't know, what else could we look at? We might look at a variety of ideas that combines various AI tools to create kind of a unique creative output, right? That's at least what I am thinking. Twitch is down. As far as I can tell, it looks like Twitch is down. Yeah, seems to be. Tried to see emotes, nothing's loading. Yeah, no, it looks like it is down, which depending on, man, this is why I don't like Twitch. This is why I will never use Twitch, because Twitch is run, Amazon treats Twitch like EA treats game studios. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Yeah. Anyways, but you know what's not down? YouTube, baby. Let's go. But yeah, anyways. So with the exploration of AI and AI tools, we are going to be looking at some of these chat generators. In particular, though, we are going to focus on ChatGPT. I think just because, one, it's free, and one, it's a hot topic right now, and it's controversial. And I think it would be interesting to try to create some YouTube content relating to AI, and ChatGPT seems to be a good way of exploring that. So you can't just type in YouTube all caps. It's supposed to be hi YouTube. Come on now, you know the drill. All right, so what else are we gonna do? The other AI generator we're gonna look at is this one. So I've actually already introduced a little bit of this to the channel, and you know what? We will play a track. So this is SoundRaw. SoundRaw is a AI music generator. And hold up. I'm not, should I sign in? Do I need to sign in? No, I don't need to sign in, right? So SoundRaw is interesting because you select some moods, you select some themes, you select kind of the pacing and the length of it and all that. And I've noticed it has a very clear set of samples that it's pulling from. But what's interesting is how it kind of layers them, and based on the beats per minute, it creates variations with the musical kind of rhythm and vibe and so on and so forth. So Soul, since you're here, pick one of these topics on the screen here. We got angry, busy, frantic, dark, dreamy, elegant, epic, heavy, ponderous, happy, romantic, smooth, sexy, sentimental, scary. What are you in the mood for? Let's see what this thing, dreamy. All right, so let's click on dreamy here. And what SoundRaw is going to do is, again, it's pulling using those keywords, right? All AI really works kind of the same. It's just how does it translate it into an output, right? And funny enough, we're seeing a lot of creative avenues being explored by AI right now. So let's see here. We got an orchestra piece here at the top. Let's see what this is. All right. I just realized, aside from dreamy, there's elegant, epic, hopeful, romantic. This vibe is not right. So as you can see, one of the issues I have with the music generation side is that, well, you set the mood as dreamy, but then it also bundles all sorts of other shit into it. So let's so we picked dreamy as the mood. Let's maybe filter it down to, all right, dreamy. What goes good with dreamy? How about nature? And for a genre, maybe we'll try, what would be a good dreamy? Oh, Latin. We'll go with Latin. What kind of Latin dreamy nature music will this make for us? All right, so as you can see now, the tags are a bit more focused and interesting how acoustic Latin has peaceful, happy, hopeful for like every single one of these. So dreamy just completely got booted. So it's interesting, but okay, so Latin apparently is a bad matchup for the AI and whatever algorithm that they're using. Oh, here we go. Elegant, dreamy, glamorous, laid back. Let's try this one. Hip hop beats. Interesting. It's so dreamy. Okay. Oh, this one below it has dreamy, elegant, romantic, sexy, smooth. I hate it. Right? Oh, we got chimes. Okay. What the fuck was that? All right, let's try one more. That's a little closer, maybe. This one definitely has a bit more of a sexy, smooth thing going for it, though. Volume is so freaking loud on this, though. Can I change it? I need to add a plugin. Ooh, it's loud. closer, browser. All right, hopefully that's a little bit more tolerable. Make it anime instead. Bro, I wish they had an anime tag. I don't think they have an anime tag. So SoundRaw is one of the more free music tools that I've found for it. No, so this is the issue I have with AI too, is that you're rarely gonna get a satisfactory result right away, or at least I would argue that it's better to get like a sample of 10 tracks that you think are good, and then pick the one that meets your expectation after you get a sample that kind of sort of matches up and lines up with what you're looking for, right? Like if you're expecting AI to give you the perfect output right from the get-go, very rarely it's gonna work. So yeah, AI music. So I think there's some potential here, right? And it's interesting because some musicians have told me that they're not interested in AI, but some people have told me that they're actually using AI music to get ideas for, you know, different rhythms, different beats, different ways of mixing kind of instruments, right? Especially when it comes to like people who do composing, right? They seem to be the ones who are more interested in AI than, say, the musicians who play the instruments. So give me, I can share the link. I'll copy that and I will send it to you. And yeah, you could check it out, SoundRaw. And if I'm not mistaken, I actually have a referral code that they gave me. So when we start looking at these different tools, we'll make a mention of that if I don't forget. But anyways, let's stop that. Enough of that. So AI music, right? There's various tools out there that does music. We've talked about kind of the text. And I think the one that has the biggest stink about it on the internet right now is AI generated art, which we're going to be looking at Midjourney in particular. So Midjourney, out of all the AI tools for art that I've played with, Midjourney has been the most interesting because there is a certain degree of quality and consistency that Midjourney seems to have with its output. Trash hands be doo-doo. Yeah, your hands, I mean, what? Because of thanks? Isn't that how you normally would say that? But Midjourney, well, there's a few of them out there, right? So some of you may have heard of Wombo Dream. What's another one? Was it Dolly? Yeah, Dolly was the one from OpenAI. I think there was a couple other ones. There's also a few mobile-based ones but some of the problems with the ones that you'll find on mobile is that they all kind of call back to the API of the same AI generator. It's just how do they output it, right? So, quick side note before I forget. When it comes to ChatGPT, ChatGPT does have the option for API calls. And I've noticed that there is a shitload of mobile apps that are using ChatGPT, asking for money. And based on the reviews, it's absolute trash. So for anyone watching, if you've made it to an hour and 40 minutes, don't buy any sort of mobile plan when it comes to AI, because the vast majority of them, if they don't have a web counterpart and they don't have like a front portal that is non-mobile, it's likely going to be absolute shit. And I've yet to be proven otherwise. So yeah, don't buy into the mobile chat GPT bots and all that sort of shit. Like this site here, the official chat GPT is mobile friendly. Like any app that says it's chat GPT is just using the API, and it's a scam. So don't do that. And yay, what up, Vector? Nice. Midday lunchtime stream. Happy New Year, Dregn. Happy New Year, Vector. Hope you've been well. It's funny, earlier today, actually I guess over the weekend, I've been catching up on my watch list of videos, and although I've already watched it, your Christmas special was saved in my large watch list of my bookmarks, and man, it's so good. It's so entertaining. Why don't you have 1 million followers, man? Come on. The internet needs to step up their follow game. Vector Spaceman, everybody. Follow him. It's the perfect special for any season. Really, I know. I almost feel like I should show it off to people every month because it's so good. Maybe we even do like a rotation. We'll do like a like a Twilight Zone marathon, but it's all just Vector Spaceman specials. Hey, am I mistaken? Did they do a God, hold on, I'm dying. God damn, I'm talking too much today. But yeah, didn't they do uh, um, a reboot of Twilight Zone? I feel like I saw one with uh, one of the guys from Key and Peele hosting it. Was that am I tripping, or is that from something else? But I don't know. Twilight Zone, man, such a good one. I would love to do like a watch along of the Twilight Zone, just the entire marathon. Be so good. If my significant other doesn't like me putting on the Christmas special for Valentine's, she's not the one. True. True, true, true. And if you guys haven't seen it, Neff, our favorite geologist Nefeltananin, who's probably still sleeping because she probably stayed up all night like she does when she doesn't have school from what I've noticed. Um, she's got new emotes, and True is one of them, and I look forward to spamming it whenever I get the chance. Yeah. But yeah, Midjourney, back to Midjourney. So Midjourney is interesting, again, because it has a degree of consistency, but also, well, it has a web front end. It has its front end is actually integrated to Discord, which is fascinating to me. I'm not going to share it until we kind of kick it off, but one of the things I was doing to play with it is actually try to generate concepts for VTubers that we've met along the way. So, gosh, I don't remember how many of them I've upscaled here. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, so I've done a few when it comes to my Horizon Exploration campaign. So again, the Sunday sci-fi campaign that we're looking to kick back up here soon does use AI generated artwork, which previously I was using Wombo Dream for, which served its purpose, but Midjourney definitely has a degree of again, actually having some decent output, which is fascinating to me. But as a fun little dealio for you guys here, right? I did one recently and shared it with Neff. So, what is it? Space geologist female, orange spacesuit, messy brown hair, wears glasses, smug. This is one that I upscaled. So, Neff's reaction was quite funny. She was like, "I hate it," and I was like, "Why?" Because it's good. He was like, "Oh." It is Kieran, King of Frog. Ooh, yeah, Kieran, King of Frogs arc when. But yeah, I was going through some VTubers that we all know. Can you guys guess who this might be? Don't tell Cody. It's actually appropriate because she was playing this really ridiculous game the other day. I guess it could be set too, yeah. But yeah, she was playing this raccoon game where I guess what she digs a hole. I don't even remember why the raccoon had control of a hole to suck everything up. But yeah, Ice Queen, Princess Raccoon. This came up. I laughed. I was like, this one looks pretty good. I'm gonna upscale it. But yeah, don't mind the 10 fingers that it has. Obviously, AI is still not great when it comes to fingers and fine details, and yeah, you can kind of tell with the little bit on the crown and whatnot. But you know, Donut Country, yeah, or County. It was so charmingly charming. It was, wasn't it? It was actually surprisingly entertaining. I wasn't expecting to be there as long as I was. The next one, you might recognize who this is resembling, or at least is supposed to be inspired by. But yeah, I gave it a shot. I was like, I wonder what it'll do with sea animals and creatures and whatnot. So, Turtle Queen, Queen of Turtles. Yep. And this was my criteria here: under the sea turtle theme, green. What is it? Green dress, long brown hair, brown skin, beautiful female. So, The next one, I thought this was going to be a bit of a challenge. I don't quite know if I care for the output here, but I think this is the one that I actually thought came out pretty nice. Bizarre dolphin photobombing. Wait, was it? That's not a dolphin. That's a manatee. Maybe? I don't even know. Dude, I don't even know. But yeah, obviously, right, again, the fine details with AI is ridiculous. But I thought I'd give our favorite Nova Swarm frontline pilot a try, and it came up with something interesting. Protector of Mankind, Spacefaring Warden, Green Dragonfly theme, Blonde Ponytail, which it completely seems to have omitted, Green Eyes, Dual Sword. Ellie did have green eyes, right? Or was it? No, it was blue eyes. I messed that one up. But yeah, very interesting. But overall, like quality-wise, I don't know if I've really seen any AI art actually nail faces as well as Midjourney has, which is interesting. I was telling Neff about this when I shared hers with her, that it would be really neat if the AI had the option to tell you where it sourced its kind of images from. I don't know how many images it sources to create this output and blends them together, but yeah, if it told you like, hey, these are the sources that I used, this is the output that I gave you, based on, you know, the weight that it puts on each one, then yeah, anyways, I think that'd look a lot better. Which one are you referring to? Mako from Korra. Why don't I remember that character? Oh, you're talking about this dude. Yeah, what was I even trying to do for this? What the hell is this from? Oh, you know what I did? So I used ChatGPT to try to create character concept. And I took the output from ChatGPT. I think it was like a visual description. I just copy pasted. I didn't even bother trying to like fine tune it into keywords. But yeah, so this is kind of what I'm thinking, right? So we've looked at AI chat generation. We've looked at AI music generation. Now we've kind of touched on AI art generation. I think what I would like to do as part of this kind of exploring of AI series is exactly AI making AI, but it's orchestrated by a human, right? So the character would be like a reference. The backstory would be initially like AI created, and then maybe we find like a music thing to go with it as a theme. And I, being someone who runs a D&D game and who is a big fan of D&D, I think there's a lot of potential for AI to be a very strong kind of reference point, or at least a way to do like on the fly assets for, say, like a D&D campaign. Like, yeah, the AI takes maybe a couple minutes to make the art, but say if, you know, the party is having a conversation, like you could technically in the background like put in some keywords and get, say, like the interior to a shop that the party would go to. And you might even, through the text generator, build some dialogue in order to put some, you know, help you with the backstory idea, right? So, right, when you're doing things like D&D, or maybe, right, one of the questions that I think a lot of creatives have with the AI stuff is, one, obviously, where is it getting the source material from? That's a big question mark. So the goal here wouldn't be to monetize the art as art created, right? I think there's some ethical gray area there. It wouldn't be, hey, let's put the music on Spotify and say that, hey, this is our music, right? I think there's some gray area there. I also think that you can't go to ChatGPT, have it output like every chapter for a novel, and then you publish it. Like I think someone did an art book or a novel or something, or a children's book, right, using ChatGPT and made some money. Like I think that's a bit of a gray area. But when it comes to the content of a video, say for YouTube, and creating a combination that builds a unique story, I think that leans in the realm of originality, right? That is assisted with AI to create a unique story with a visual. And each component of AI only makes for a smaller percentage of the total product, which, sure, I think I will need to add a disclaimer about like, hey, if this art looks like it was sourced from something that you had done, I'm more than happy to, change it, remove it, whatnot, right? Because again, a lot of these tools don't give you the insight to where it's sourcing material from. But at the same time, what's neat about Midjourney, and oh, are you asking what tool I'm using for this? This is Midjourney. So Midjourney, Midjourney. Yeah. So Midjourney is run on Discord. And I think one of the aspects I'd like to explore too is like, hey, if I were to try to redesign, say, myself as a concept, well, what would that look like, right? So I think there's a lot of interesting kind of topics that we can explore and try with when it comes to AI generation. I think a cool series that we could do with AI also would be to invite people onto the show who are maybe VTubers or people who are PNG tubers who are maybe unsure what kind of art direction that they would want to go to. I think AI art would be fantastic for, say, like, imagine if I made a series of artwork. Like, it's difficult for AI to create multiple styles of a single image. Like, I can't take this image and be like, hey, make this image but with the full body frontal view. That would probably be a little tricky for the AI to do. So you'd have to be really clever with how you source it as a reference. But like, let's say if I went to my artist a year ago and was like, hey, could you make a character called Dregn Durant based on this image? I think that'd be pretty fucking cool, right? And I think if I go to an artist to create something that is then original for a user to then monetize or whatnot and use commercially, and the AI artwork is strictly used as a reference point, I feel like that is fair game, right? Because VTubers or aspiring VTubers already do that. They already go to Google. They already search keywords for what kind of a style and what kind of elements they want. I actually saw a video recently where some guy was talking about not AI in particular, but becoming a VTuber. And he made a joke about, like, we all know how you go and search for sample or for references, and don't make it seem like I'm not laughing my ass off when I'm copying NFTs for references, right? Because the whole point of the NFT is that it's not supposed to be used outside of, whoever owns it. So anyways, yeah, with Horizon Exploration, right? The creative endeavor with Horizon Exploration, my tabletop RPG homebrew, is to use AI art as just visual inspiration to set the theme and whatnot, right? It's not meant to be monetized in any shape or form outside of the D&D campaign. So I'm primarily going to be using this to generate some concepts for my campaign to share with the players as we stream it, right? So that they have an idea of, hey, what am I looking at? So, for example, when I used a Wombo Dream, it really created a monstrosity of a vehicle, but this vehicle is way more usable in the sense of, what the party is going to be driving around. And obviously there's a few issues when it comes to like, hey, why does one side have more headlights than the other? Why is there like a weird thing in the front? But that's a minor thing, right? I don't really care about the fine details. It's more about the vibe of the setting, right? So for example, there is a particular race of people, which this type of a vibe is very fitting. And the vibe is what I'm interested in, not the art itself. So for the campaign that I run, we're going to be exploring this. Maybe I'll have a series of like behind the scenes for the Horizon Exploration kind of asset generation of how we're kind of sharing ideas of different, the races of people and what they might look like. So here's like a technician, quote unquote, which is the space dwarves of the campaign, a very hardy space people with kind of a mining suit of sorts. So, there's definitely some uses here for those types of creative endeavors that I think are, when you're looking at it more from a reference point of view, I do think there is some creative avenues where AI is usable and appropriate. But the commercial side and the monetizing definitely has some question marks based on where it is sourcing the art from. So anyways, yeah, let me know what you guys think about AI, art, music, what we've talked about. If you got thoughts about it, drop it in the comments if you're watching this after the fact on YouTube. And I'm very interested in the combination of tools that we can use to create something unique. And I think that is a series that I would be very interested in exploring. And like I said, if we have people who are interested in AI, I'd love to, have a one-on-one, maybe have you guys on and look at exploring some ideas, whether if you're a VTuber looking to check out what it can do, maybe using your OC as concept reference, right? Because one of the nice things with Midjourney is I could define a source. So not only does it work off of keywords, I could upload an image and be like, hey, use this as the base source. Or I could say, hey, use these two sources and it'll do its magic, right? So I do think, yeah, and when it comes to inspiration, I do think it is something that can go a long way. I mean, the unfortunate truth is AI is only going to improve. And I argue that considering how technology has evolved over the years, right? Like with computers, they used to say computers would advance every 4 years. I forget the timeline when it came to like data, right? But like your hard disk and your SSDs, what is it? It was the saying was like every year or every 2 years, the size would double, I think. I forget the exact saying. But with AI, right, this is only going to improve. I bet you by the end of 2024, AI art generation, if regulation doesn't come in, is going to be disgusting. It's already disgusting. Like this is supposed to be, I mean, the character I had in mind for this was a bit more kind of rough looking, but like, look at this, dude. Like, what is this? It looks so freaking good. What you're showing me is the best AI art I've ever seen. Yeah, no, that's what's blowing my mind about Midjourney is the fact that, like, this is an album cover right here. Like, what is this? Like and this one here, like I used a fusion of Toonami Tom, Mega Man, and Duck Duff from Arknights, and it gave me 3 characters, and I'm like, this is usable. Like I can go to the artist that made my model with this style. Like this is already, like this middle guy is like already in his style almost. I feel like I've seen him do art like this already. It's disgusting how good this is. And like this guy right here, or not this one right here, God, I dig this vibe so much. Like if I do a Dregn 2.0, you can bet your ass that this is going to be part of the reference package because I like this. I like this a lot. So, but again, I'm not the type that's going to go and take this and claim it as my own or build something and try to monetize this itself. I think though that you can generate a series of art that is AI generated and take it to an artist. And I think this would be super valuable to people like VTubers if you had access to it, because just think about it, right? Like you can type in the keywords of what you are imagining. And if you don't know how to write up the keywords, well, go to ChatGPT and try to have a conversation with the AI to give you a list of to help fine tune the ideas that you have in your head, right? And then with that fine-tuned list of keywords, try to make some character concept, right? And then now that you have a better idea of character concept, then you can go to an artist and be like, hey, these are the references I'd like to provide. This is the element that I like in each one. What can you do about it, right? Based on your style. So yeah, there is a lot of potential. Obviously, there's some gray areas that are being discussed in the communities out there right now. But I'm impressed. And this Midjourney AI blew my mind when I found it, because I've seen in the past 4 to 5 months, I think it's been, some interesting like AI generated art being put out like on Reddit. And I'm just like, where are people getting this? Because whenever I use AI, whenever I play with like Wombo Dream or any of these other tools, never even came close to what this is putting out. Like the fact that Neff, who voiced last time I think she was on stream with me, how much she despised AI, saw this and was like, fuck, it's good. I think says something. So yeah, if you're a VTuber out there and you want to come on one day and do like and join me in this kind of explore AI show or series that I'm going to be kicking up here this month, or if you're an artist or a musician, or well, actually the musician side I already have a few people I'm talking to, but artists in particular, I'd be very interested to see like what could we create with AI, and then with your skills as an artist, right? Like what would you do with it? What would you want to be inspired by, or what are your thoughts about it, right? Because people, I know you guys got fucking opinions. Like let's talk about it. Like I want to understand some of the reservations that people have about it, right? Which I do get the human creative element of it, right? Like this does have its own vibe, and you know, like I really like this vibe right here too. Like, can you guess what type of people live here? Right? But yeah, having options is an aspect of it, right? But the question is obviously, how does this either replace artists, and is that right? Or how does it complement artists, and have you thought about it, right? These are the types of conversations that I like to explore. So like Vector, I know you draw. You're welcome anytime. You wanna play with the AI? I am planning to do this series. I've already bought into the license to make this happen. So if anyone out there would like to play with it and see what you can get out of it too, and get maybe some references, I think I would be willing to explore it with you, and yeah, maybe play with it. Now, if I recall correctly, Midjourney has like a free trial of like 30 outputs or something. So if you guys are interested in Midjourney, check it out, try it out. If you're a follower of the channel, or if you're an artist out there who'd like to explore it more in depth and join me in this series that I'm doing, drop me an email or find me on Twitter and reach out. Let's schedule a time to explore it. And I'd love to ask you again, I don't know if I'm streaming and if I'm a VTuber, does that make me a creative? I don't think it does, but you know, as I'll call myself a non-creative, right? And as someone who does do the art in the pen to paper, right? Let's have that exchange from me coming from the technical side and you guys coming from the artistic side. I'd love to blend that water, you know? So yeah, we're going to explore AI. Let's do it. So this is a series that I've thought about actually since I started VTubing, because if anyone's been following the channel, you know that there's some AI related bullshit going on with my lore. And yeah, coming from the tech field, this fascinates me. So, you know, combining text, music, art, all AI generated. And if something really cool comes out of it, hell, and if Project HiVECORE grows, I don't know, maybe something can come out of it. Or at least I would like to strive for something like that. So, yeah, this is what we're gonna do. I think we're actually pretty close on time, which actually works out pretty damn perfectly. So 2 hours, 10 minutes have gone by. Again, these moving forward, the plan again will be for me to be live 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, right? So noon Eastern, 9 a.m. my time. And we'll do this for like an hour, 2 hours, depending on the topic of the day and what we're going to explore for the day. We'll take a break. And I think today being the first day, I don't know if I will be jumping back on later this afternoon, which normally I would say would be like, say, in 2 hours, right? Which will give me time to, you know, go get some lunch, run some errands, and then we'll come back and maybe do another segment. But that I think I'm going to save for maybe tomorrow and onwards. Today, really just kind of first stream of the year, talking about some ideas, sharing my excitement for this new kind of series that I'm like looking to run, and then touching a bit about some of the changes that we're going to be looking at on the channel. So All right. I think we will be closing it here. As far as this week goes, we're going to be doing quite a bit. So tonight, on this Tuesday, we will be collaborating with our good buddy Neff. We're going to be playing V Rising. Unfortunately, Neff can't stream it. Her computer too weak. So she's going to be joining me, and we're going to go run around and finally see what these vampires are all about. Tomorrow, obviously, we are going to try and continue this at the same time. And I think we'll kick it off. Well, I suppose let me actually take a half step back. So there's two directions I want to go. One obviously is going to be the Exploring AI series, which we're going to start on this channel. I've actually reserved a YouTube channel if it pops off called Adventure AI, which might be more specific to like the D&D related topics, right? But I wonder if Neff can fry an egg. I don't think it's a heat issue. I think it's more of a processing issue. But but the other topic that if you guys anyone tuning in, drop a comment. But I feel like maybe for my own sake, I would like to spend a couple of these daytime moments talking a little bit about my journey, I suppose. Kind of lay out, where I'm coming from, why I even decided to do all this. I've kind of talked about it bits and pieces as far as my burnout from business and all that crap, but talking a little bit more, there's an interesting question that I had a very, I don't even know what I would call him because I only knew the guy for a couple months, but I respect them highly, and they were like the boss of my boss after the boss above him got too busy for me. But when I had met the guy, he was very relatable, very personal, very open-minded. And when I had a one-on-one with him, he had asked me an interesting question. And this is another series that I'd be interested to explore if there's interest, which is doing the talk show podcast kind of in an interview format where we kind of explore the journey of an individual, not just the journey with AI, but on the flip side, the human journey, right? So I figured what probably the best place to start would be to lay my cards out on the table first as an example. And then if that seems interesting to anybody, we could invite people to do something similar, but more in a Q&A / conversational format. So, but yeah, this individual that I was talking about, when I had met him, one of his first questions that he had asked me, it's like, hey, so tell me about you. It's like, I want to know a little bit about you, where you came from. Like, tell me about you when you were in kindergarten. And I don't know why that question threw me off so much, but I don't know. It hit different because in my experience, most people who were responsible, that is a weird question. Yeah, it threw me off, but not in an off-putting way. It was like, oh shit, like this guy actually wants to like know about where I came from to be where I am today, is how I understood it. And from how I understood this guy a couple months in, I think affirmed my belief that that's the type of person he was. Like he likes to understand people so that he can then better serve them, because he was like a manager of sorts, right? He wasn't a direct manager initially, but someone that, I don't know, that question actually set the stage for like how I saw the guy, because as much as in my day to day, like when I interact with a person, and you guys have probably noticed it to some degree, like I do try to figure people out. Like I find the history of a person and how they go from a child to like the dreams that you have growing up, to how education has changed a person, to how the workplace has changed a person, to how a person decided to be a streamer and had decided to become a VTuber. Like that kind of shit fascinates me. So I think when he had asked me that question, it threw me off because I was just like, oh shit, like he actually wants to know. And I had never met someone in the workforce who seemed as genuine as he did, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, it was a weird question, but I think it was a question that made me respect him as a peer, even though he was technically higher up than I was in the org, right? He occasionally still texts me today too, which is interesting because we barely know each other. Like I've only really been under him for a couple months, but I think through the workplace, like interacting with him was, and hopefully no one I previously worked with is really listening to this, but a couple of them actually know that I'm doing this. But he was also, I think, kind of the reason that got me thinking, it's like this guy is clearly different in the workforce than anything else that I had experienced and seen and observed. And it made me think to myself, like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, I've been here for a decade. Like, why am I in this grind? Like, clearly the business I thought I joined doesn't give two shits about me anymore. But this guy actually cares a little bit, even if just a little bit. Still talk to old boss, consider some of them as family. That's very cool. That, yeah. I know a few people, like, I generally have good relationships with people who are called my managers, mostly because, one, they were respectable, mature people, but also because they would listen to me rant and they would listen to my gripes, and they would also even share some of their gripes with me. So I feel like even though the hierarchy was different, or we were in different places in the hierarchy, as humans, we were peers, right? So yeah, I think more people deserve that experience, and it breaks my heart when I hear about people who have managers who are just on a power trip, or people who work in low tier workforce, whatever that might be considered as, and they have like middle managers, or they have like 4 to 8 managers, and there's always that one fucking guy who's always like looking over your shoulder, judging your every action, right? Actually, my best friend for the longest time had a couple of those, and yeah, I'm fortunate to not have experienced that degree of scrutiny in a negative light. So, but anyways, so yeah, AI generated content as a series is something I'm going to explore. But the other side to it is starting to see if there's any folks out there who would be interested in just kind of, I don't know, I guess it'd be just like random campfire banter. I always like the idea of campfire. I am at heart a bit of an outdoorsy guy, and I always enjoyed campfires, and I was fortunate enough in my early education to have had good friends, and being coastal as I am, enjoying the days when bonfires were still allowed. I don't know. Do you guys allow bonfires where you guys live? I don't think the places near me allow them anymore because the rich people were complaining about the big fires and the noise from the kids. Gosh, I heard a story recently about some mall that was banning kids between the hours of 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. And that blew my mind. It's like, you guys kidding me? But yeah, fortunately, I grew up in a time where bonfires and a bunch of dumb high school kids could, almost kill themselves by burning things they probably shouldn't have. And yeah, growing up, going to the mountains, hanging around the campfire, going up with good buddies, hiking for a week week at a time. And yeah, no place for a bonfire unless you drive a bit. Yeah, that seems to be the case. Can't have fun anymore, which is a shame. I feel for the kids out there who the only entertainment they can find is on the internet, unfortunately, because like outdoors, unless you go into nature away from civilization, like there is no outdoors within civilization anymore, which is kind of sad to me because I grew up in a time where there was still a balance there. Yeah. So yeah, having kind of like campfire conversation. Maybe you know what? Here, let's do this. Let's. I wasn't planning on doing this, and I know I said I'd limit it to 2 hours, but I'll do one. I'll do one. I'll do one. Let's do one. Now, how will this work though? Because I haven't actually shared my Discord on stream before. Let's see here. Let's go with. Discord Dragon Journey. Does that? Neat. Let's go. All right. I don't think I can zoom in Discord though. So, and also my prompts are a little hidden. So one prompt, right, that I will give a try. Oh wait, actually that prompt is wrong. Imagine. So imagine a cyber sci-fi bonfire. Let's see what that does. And I'm doing it in relax mode, so it's going to take a couple minutes, so we'll just chit chat while we're waiting for that to generate. But yeah, maybe we do a little round table casual bonfire interview. Maybe even make it a group chat, and maybe we'll get a guy who plays the guitar. He can strum us a tune while we're hanging out. We'll put some fire crackling noises. Yeah, it'd be a good time, right? If we can sing too, yeah, sing a little kumbaya. Let's go. I like the idea. And you know what? Oh man, I should talk to Nova Swarm, because I know Nova Swarm was telling me that like their whole channel vibe is supposed to be like getting together at someone's house and having like that casual kind of setting, right? And I've seen a few VTubers actually talk about how they want their channel to be more of remind them the nostalgia of like the couch co-op days, right? Which people don't really, I don't know how many people really know what couch co-op is outside of people who play like on the Switch or something. I don't know. But yeah, but the problem I think I have with Nova Swarm, which Ellie, if you're out there, I mean, this is just my observations. If you want it to be like a cozy lounge for people to come in and hang out, I don't know if you know of the guy named Mizkif, which personally I'm not a fan, but his channel, the concept on his channel is he has a door. And I saw Ludwig has a video talking about this freaking door. I think it was Ludwig. But the door is, people can just show up, and maybe there's like a whitelist of who's allowed, but maybe Nova Swarm could do something like that if you want to get that vibe going. I don't know. But I'd be down for like a campfire kumbaya. Maybe maybe that's what we should do with HiVECORE. Maybe we should have I guess Thursday's Minecraft kind of already fits that gap a little bit. We just focus on Minecraft rather than chit-chatting. But maybe once the tavern is done, maybe we build like a big bonfire outside. Maybe that's what my next project will be after the maze. I don't know. We'll figure it out on Thursday. We're still planning to do Thursday Minecraft. So, not enough days in the week. I know, right? No joke. Live from Dragon's basement. Whoa. All right, but let's see here. Sci-fi bonfire. What is this? Dude is in the bonfire, bro. Robot man, what are you doing? And this top one is not even a bonfire. The top two seem like a wreckage, but you know what, that third one, so it generates 4. You can generate variations, you can reset it, and then what I'm doing here is I'm going to upscale the third one, and we'll see what that looks like. Not enough days. Oh, that's weird. That's interesting. Your message showed up in my stream faster than it showed up in my OBS. First one is some hardcore Bionicle imagery. Oh, I see it. You're talking about this top left one, right? First one. But then, I don't know, dude. The bottom left one, the bottom left one's kind of cool though. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll upscale that fourth one too. But yeah, Bionicle. Man, I wonder what kind of Bionicle shit that this would generate. Did you add the Midjourney bot to Discord server? Oh yeah. So that's what's fascinating about Midjourney is that here, this is the Midjourney Discord. So Midjourney's Discord is a wild west of just people creating all sorts of crazy. What the fuck is this? Oh, this guy actually adds a watermark. What the hell? Psh, please, bro. But yeah. So if you join the Midjourney Discord, you already get access to see a bunch of people just doing some crazy stuff with the AI. Did he actually make this, or is this something that he touched up? I can't even tell. But there are tons of channels. There's people asking questions. There's different like themed projects that they run. So no, the Midjourney Discord server is actually a crazy, crazy place. If you guys have not heard of this, Pokemon, IRL Pokemon, what? But yeah, see, so they'll create like little themes that you guys can try and see what the AI will generate, which is wild. But what I did because it gets a little hard to navigate when you're trying to, make your own stuff or at least input your own prompts, because again, the chat moves so damn fast. So this is pretty cool. Chinese New Year. Look at that. That is wild. Man. But yeah, so what you could do if you pay, so I did, full disclaimer, which is also why if anyone who is a fan of the channel or is a fan of AI would like to join me for the series for a session or two, you are welcome to join me as part of my project, and maybe you can get some inspiration out of it. But yeah, the when you what's the word? When you have a license or whatever, you can add the bot to a custom server and you can query against it in your own private server. So yeah, that is what is done. And again, I am planning to go full steam ahead with this AI idea because again, there is some lore relevance to my channel when it comes to AI, and coming from the tech sector and security sector, AI is just normal for me and it's fascinating for me. And as someone who is not an artist, quote unquote, AI generated works are fascinating, especially just seeing the evolution. Like, look at this. Look at this. Unbelievable. Here, let me switch back to the browser. Oh, that's not it. What am I on? Oh, it's not updating because it just opened. Hold up. There it is. But yeah, look at this. Like, it's not perfect, sure, but in this style, it's fine. Like, no wonder people are losing their minds. No wonder there's artists that see this and they're just like, why do I even bother? It's like, but I am an advocate for human art, right? Because human art has flexibility, it has configurability, it has that human touch, it has that human style. Actually, one of my favorite things when it comes to a human and their, what am I, a bot? When it comes to a person's work is seeing how their art style changes, right? So there's a few people that I've seen on Twitter who in the past year alone, like they draw every day, and seeing their art change and evolve and for them to try different styles. And I've also, in the past, I used to go to conventions and I used to see, artists at the artist alley, right? And I would see a couple of them that I really like their style and I'll try to have a conversation with them. There's also the problem with artists where they're either too busy to interact with people who are interested in having a conversation with them, or I get the vibe that they just see everyone as a customer, which is kind of, a fuck you to them. But, there are a few that I've managed to have a conversation with and talk about, and they've managed to share, a few of their experiences with me. But, I would go to like, what is it? A popular one on the West Coast is Anime Expo. I stopped going, I think, back in like 2014 or 15 or whatever. But I used to go, I went at least like 3 or 4 years in a row. And seeing, I remember there was this one artist, I forget his name. He's really big on YouTube now, but he had done a Kickstarter. And it was around the time that his art really kind of started to find like its own unique style. Like, you guys know when you see a particular style and you're like, I know who that artist is, right? Like, there's a handful of artists who have found their style that works for them, that they enjoy, that inspires them to make more of it. I find that to be, again, beautiful is not a word I often use, and maybe if I keep doing this, I'll start using it more. But like, I find that moment when you look at an artist and it's like he found his style or they found their style. I think that's amazing. I think that's awesome. So AI art, I think, does have some limitations when it comes to that side of like artistic discovery of sorts, right? And like even Vector, if you're still tuning in here, like I know I know you tell me that it's like my style is not popular or whatever, but I really like the scruffy kind of old school like cartoony look that you got. Like I think there you got a fairly unique take on that look. So yeah, I enjoy the human side of it as well. It's a look, that's for sure, man. Vector, we gonna have this situation with you and your voice, but now it's you and your art. Actually, I still have your little. Where is it? Where is it? Where did I put it? Can I open this in the browser? I'm pretty sure I can. This guy, dude, I love this. You know, I know you did it in like 2 minutes, but this is hilarious to me. I think it's great, man. Not to mention, you know, I've already talked about how I like your little touch up of the background work, even if you use like AI art for the baseline or whatever you said. I still think that's super cool. I think that's a unique take that has a particular style that some people have utilized, some people haven't quite figured out, but your itch to explore it is admirable. So yes, much respect. But yeah, anyways, let's go ahead and start wrapping up here. I already went a little bit over what I said I was going to just because I'm enjoying myself. And yeah, again, future plans is we're going to do anywhere from 1 to 3 streams throughout the day. And then if we have collaborations, which we have a jam-packed week. I know I don't do schedules anymore, but you know, that's why you got to hit that goddamn button and get that notification, because generally what I'm doing here is I'll put out the YouTube. I think I at least I'm trying to put it out an hour before we go live, and then I'll send out the Twitter announcement. I'm trying to do that about 10-15 minutes before, and then with 2023, the goal is going to be to take the short long form videos and turn it into clipped shorter form content. But the Yasuhiro0088 channel is going to be, again, my sandbox. This is my playground. This is where I'm going to try out different ideas and continue to explore, as I have been this past year. And I think I have a pretty good idea of how I want to grow the channel now. So yeah, if it works out well, we have some other channels that we've reserved that we may move content that you guys find interesting here. We'll move it over there and try to grow it that way, because frankly, I'm at a point where I really don't care about the number. I mean, it would be nice to be able to sustain and grow and build a community, but that comes with, I think, some more time and some proper content, which I've said it before, I still stand by it. Unless you're a top gamer or unless you're a flat out comedian gamer, I don't think gaming is an efficient use of time. Unfortunately, which I hate saying because I love gaming, but man, the more I stream, the more I feel like there's other things I want to do. And I think, gosh, am I graduating from being a gamer? Is that what's happening to me? Jesus Christ, what? I don't know. We're going to figure that out this year. But the goal for 2023 is to explore content. Yeah. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. We're going to be back this evening with Neff and, Dragon's announcing it. Well, hey, now you get to watch everything I said about you in the video that's going to be available right after this. So with that, again, keep an eye out for upcoming videos. Again, during the day, we're going to do like 1-2 hours at a time. And then in the evenings, if we have collaborations, we'll do our typical 2 to 3 hours. And we'll see what we can make out of it. So with that, take it easy, everybody. We'll catch you next time. And with that, bye. Peace.